Oh, hey there. Let's talk about adjectives and adverbs, shall we? So guys, as you know, adjectives and adverbs, they are modifying words, right? They are modifying words that allow us to say something about, in the case of adjectives, about nouns, and in the case of adverbs, they allow us to say something about verbs, about adjectives and other adverbs. Now, when we talk about saying something, what do we actually mean? When we say to say something, we mean that adjectives and adverbs, they allow us to classify, they allow us to identify, they allow us to discriminate. Discriminate in this context means to tell apart, to set apart. In general terms, adjectives and adverbs, they allow us to enrich the meanings of the words that they modify. Remember, once again, I know we have talked about this lots of times, but adjectives modify nouns and adverbs modify verbs, adjectives and adverbs. Now, let's talk about adjectives. I want you to check the following examples of adjectives being used in sentences. The red pill was not taken by Neo. Old computers were so bulky. Your tablet is old and broken. Now I want you to see that there are some cases in which we are placing the adjective right next to the word that it modifies, like in the case of red pill. Red is modifying pill and it is right next to it. Old computers were so bulky. Old is placed right next to computers, right next to the word that the adjective modifies. But bulky is not placed next to the word that it modifies. As you know, considering sentence elements, bulky is a predicate adjective. Here we have the linking verb, were, and bulky. All computers were what? So bulky. So this is a predicate adjective, so I know for sure that this is an adjective, and I can see that it is not placed right next to the word that it modifies. Your tablet is old and broken. This possessive adjective is placed right next to the word that it modifies, but old and broken are placed in the predicate position away from the word that they modify. Now, why is this relevant? Well, in order to talk about its relevance, we need to consider that by location, by depending on where we place the adjective in relation to the word that it modifies, we classify the adjective as an attribute or epithet or as a predicative adjective. The attribute or the epithet is placed right next to the word that it modifies. Check this example. Adele is an amazing singer. For sure she is. And here we have that amazing is an attributive adjective because it is not placed right next to the word that it modifies. And somebody might tell me, hey teacher, you know what? You're making a mistake because the amazing singer is Adele. So yeah, it is modifying the subject. It is referring to Adele, it is describing her, it is modifying this noun. And well, yes, but structurally, grammatically speaking, the word amazing is not modifying Adele, it's modifying singer, right? It's placed right next to the word that it modifies. And it so happens to be that the singer, the amazing singer, is, of course, Adele. And then we have this example of a predicative adjective. Little children can be stubborn. Little children can be stubborn. In this case, this is a predicative adjective because I am not placing the adjective right next to the word that it refers to. Okay, teacher, that's a nice trivia, what you are sharing with us, but is it really important to know what we call these adjectives if we are placing them right next to the word that they modify, or if they are far away from the word that they are supposed to be telling us something about? Well, yes, because there are certain adjectives. You see, most adjectives can be placed either as attributes or as predicative adjectives. But there are certain cases in which the adjectives can only be placed in specific locations. When that happens, we can talk about predicative adjectives, which are adjectives. You know what predicative adjectives are. What I'm trying to tell you is that there are certain adjectives that are only placed predicatively. Examples of these adjectives are afraid, alone, glad, sure, ready. All these adjectives that you see here, this short list, which is of course only as an example list, of course. I'm not saying that these are the only adjectives that can be used only predicatively or usually predicatively, but there are not many adjectives that are used like this. What happens is that if I try to use these adjectives as attributes, the sentence is going to be awkward. The utterance is going to be odd. Check these contrastive examples. Leonor is afraid that her mom is seriously sick. Leonor is afraid that her mom is seriously sick. Her mom is sick. I am using the adjective sick over here as a predicative adjective. What happens if I try to use sick as an attributive adjective? Check. Sick Leonor got home late. It sounds weird, doesn't it? It sounds almost like if I am criticizing her, and I don't use the word sick as an attribute. Francis is ready to play. Francis is ready to play, but if I say I married a ready woman, does that make sense? Doesn't it feel a little odd for you guys? Because it sure does feel a little odd for me. And just as we have, guys, predicative adjectives, adjectives that are only used predicatively, of course it so happens that we have some adjectives that are only used attributively. There's a list on your lesson about these adjectives. It's a very short list, to be honest. There are not many adjectives that are used only as attributes. Some examples of these adjectives are outdoor, indoor, main, and principal. When principal is being used as an adjective, of course, not as a noun. We use this as attributive adjectives. Check these examples. An occasional night out with your friends relaxes you. Occasional is placed right next to the word that it modifies. But if I try to say something like a dinner like this is occasional, there's something odd. We don't use this adjective like this, not usually. The maximum weight this elevator holds is 600 pounds, and the club's capacity is already maximum. Does that sound good for you? It sure does not for me. So those are cases of adjectives that are only used attributively and some other adjectives that are only used predicatively. Now, what other piece of information may I tell you about adjectives that you may find interesting? Well, I also have a piece of information about post-nominal adjectives. Post-nominal adjectives. Adjectives that are located after the noun. Post-nominally, right? So you know for sure that adjectives in English precede the noun that they modify. This is usually the case, but there are some few cases in which the adjective follows the noun. And this phenomenon happens in English because, of course, of the influence of other languages that English had, more specifically French. French had a huge influence in the creation of the English language, or the English language that we speak today. And in French, just like in Spanish, in our language, it so happens that adjectives are located after the nouns. And there are not many cases, to be honest, and mostly these are collocations. Collocations are, let's say, prefabricated phrases that we use exactly like that. We don't tend to change the words. They work like together. They are like married, we could say. And here are some examples: times immemorial, Surgeon General, President-elect, time available, Devil incarnate, God Almighty, Secretary General. And I can only think of one more example, which is Sergeant Major. And we use them like this. It is not customary, it is not normal to use immemorial times or general surgeon or elect president. We don't do this. These phrases usually occur with these words only. I cannot say, for example, demon incarnate, like talking about letter D, devil incarnate. I cannot say demon incarnate. No, it's devil incarnate. Surgeon General. Can I say dentist general, teacher? No, it's Surgeon General. Time available. Can I say available time? Not really. This is a phrase that goes like that. There are not many of these postnominal adjectives, so it is easier to learn them by heart. It is good that you learn these cases because, remember, we are going to be teachers, and it wouldn't be nice if we see these phrases and we think that there's a mistake with them, and we correct somebody who has written this and say, for example, no, you know what, it's a mistake if you say Secretary General. You have to say General Secretary. Then that wouldn't reflect a very nice image of us in front of our students. Besides, remember, our purpose in our major is to manage the language academically, right? So this first video, this is what I'm going to talk about, guys. These special cases of adjectives, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.